Has done over 300 different voices and anime, commercials, video games. We brought him in because he was the voice of Moto and Ghost in the Shell. But I'm sure there's people who like him for plenty of other voices. He'll go more into that. Julie Maddalena has been in the industry. Actually, I was surprised to find out that she was in Children of Corn. One of the scariest movies to me as a 13-year-old, which just freaked me out, was Children of the Corn. It was like, oh. Yeah, I lived on a farm with corn.
Yeah. Big cornfield. Was she one of the years?
So, but she was in Ghost in the Shell as the Tachikoma, which I cry about every time I think about, and I'm not going to go into the thing about it. And then we have Mr. Lord Zed himself, Robert Axelrod, who is in the Power Rangers. Now, I have to say that all of our guests have been on Power Rangers. Epcar did mostly monsters.
And I directed ADR.
And he did ADR on the show. Maddalena was in Power Rangers in Space or Universe or something like that. Power Rangers in Space is Deca, the robot, right? She was a robot in Power Rangers in Space. Hey, I remember some stuff every once in a while. So, do we actually have another mic so that people can come up and ask questions out loud? Or couldn't they share a mic and talk back and forth? They can share a mic and we'll just put the other one out.
Try not to go. Yeah, let's do it that way. We'll do it that way.
All right. Okay.
Okay, again, when you have questions, are you guys going to talk about some stuff first and then do a Q&A at the end?
Yeah.
You want to do Q&A now and do it kind of free-form? Does anyone have questions? Come on up.
I do. Oh, okay.
I do.
You just ask them questions. Talk in the microphone and say...
Hi, how you guys doing?
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Really excited to see you guys here. Mr. Epcar, I heard that you're working on the new Avatar with Nickelodeon.
That's true.
I was wondering if you can tell us, what you can give us with that new series. What voice are you doing? Pretty much about the show. I mean, after what happened, the whole Avatar Legend of Korra thing.
Yeah, I'm in the new sequel to Avatar on Nickelodeon. It's Legend of Korra, and unfortunately, I can't say anything other than that.
You can give us a little bit, like least main character. Or
I had to get approval from their legal department just to be able to say that much. So.
I was wondering. I know you're in there. I kind of did some homework and research, and I was
there's some amazing actors in this thing, and me. but there's a wonderful cast. I mean, a lot of big name celebrities and people.
Can you mention a couple?
I really can't talk about the show, unfortunately. Hopefully, it'll be out. I don't know when it's going to come out because they're animating. I did see a little bit of the first episode that we worked on, and the animation looks amazing. It really does. So I'm really excited to be part of that show and working with Andre Romano, who's a great director. And so it's great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here.
Talk with me.
Sorry.
It's not your fault. I have a question for all three of you. What is your favorite role you've done, live action, voicing, or otherwise?
Start with the lovely Julie Maddalena.
Children of the Corn. For some reason, after I did that role, people kept giving me knives for gifts. I don't know why. It's kind of like, really? You want to go there? Gosh, I had a lot. I think there's one I'm working on right now that I really like, just because she's got a dialect, English dialect. Rebecca Steen for Monster High. That's a new. I've just joined that series. I'm playing Venus McFlytrap and Rebecca Steen on that. But she's like a Cockney robot, and she's really fun. I like her just because she's wacky but tough and strong, and that's a fun character. I also liked in Magic Knight Ray Earth. That was one of my favorites. I know. She was fun because it was the first time I got to play a warrior. You know, I was always like this cute little girl, and I got to do a warrior, and she was just out there and radical and strong, and again, it was really a fun opportunity for me to play that kind of a character as a woman.
You still are a cute little girl. Yeah, I was talking to Jake, I think was here. Yeah, there you are. I was telling him, he asked me the same question. You know, I get asked that question a lot. I'm sure we all get asked that question a lot. And it's just, you know, it's hard. It's hard for me because every job I do, I try my best, and I try to do a good job, whether it's a big show, small show, cheap show, expensive show. I always try to do my best work. And, you know, you view your characters after a while as your children, you know, so you can't say I like one more than the other, you know. But I have some favorites, obviously. Baton Ghost in the Shell is one, and I like Jigen and Lupin and Ziggy and, you know, Saga and the Joker. I love doing the Joker and Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe and Raiden and all my Robotech characters and all my Transformer characters. So yeah, and I love being on this new show Avatar, so it's hard. It was a story with Peter Ustinov, who used to get asked that question. They used to say, "What's your favorite role?" And I loved his answer. He would say, "The next." And that's kind of the way I feel about it too. So.
Yeah, turn it on. There.
All right. Hello? Yeah, there it goes. I always say, well, besides Lord's Edge, because obviously that's my favorite because it paid the rent for a long time. And I lean towards a play that I did in 1985 called Mr. Dracula.
These guys weren't even alive in 1985.
Yeah, you guys weren't.
She was.
I played Van Helsing. It was a stage play, and he wasn't Van Helsing, he was Hank Helsing, Henry Helsing, from Brooklyn, New York. And we had updated the Dracula theme, the Dracula show, to take place in modern times, to take place in Atlanta, Georgia, around the CDC, Center for Disease Control. So, and it was a comedy, and it was a great play. It was a lot of fun. We did a lot of improvising to develop the show, and that was one of my favorites. But as far as voiceover is concerned, I go with Richard. There's so many roles I've done, and I put my all into. I like Finster. I liked who was also on the Power Rangers. I liked Elmer on Hello Spencer, which was a Muppet-type cartoon show, Muppet-type live-action show we did right before Power Rangers hit, and there's quite a few of them. And I go with Peter Ustinov. They say the next one is my favorite. Yeah, I like that one.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Anyone else?
Question for you: does an eye patch bother your vision?
Yeah.
I had to wear an eye patch in a film one time, and it just it drove me nuts. It really kind of drove me nuts. Yeah, you had a question. What is that hanging from your head? What is it?
Screw.
A screw? Oh, okay. I thought it was a bar stool or something. Well, there you go.
Sam.
Okay, that works.
Do you all enjoy your job?
Oh, yes. I can definitely. We regularly, when we're working, just look at each other and say, this is just like the best job in the world. I mean, we are so blessed to be able to have so much fun, get paid for it. The lifestyle is a blessing. Like, I have 3 kids, so it's been a tremendous blessing for me. I did on-camera work before I had my kids. After they were born, I could be pregnant, and I had my babies in a snuggly when I'd work in the studio. I had them at my feet when I was working. They grew up in the studio while I was working, and it was just such a great schedule for me as a mom. But then you know, it's a creative environment. My favorite group of people in the industry are the voice actors because we're so, you know, there's a lot of freedom, there's a lot of flexibility. People are really not feeling competitive in terms of, you know, how I look, how they look. Are they going to get the job because of how they look? It's just our voice. So there's a kind of a freedom there, less competition. We just have so much fun. I mean, if you saw the outtakes, Richard's outtakes last night, you just get a sense of the goofing off in the studio. We're a bunch of kids, and we get paid to do what we do, and we have so much fun. Every job is a challenge. Doing the dubbing, any of the looping is a great challenge just for, you know, our brains, and then when you get to do original animation, you are free creatively. I am so thankful to do what I do.
Yeah, no, we're very fortunate. We actually love our work, and a lot of people can't say that, you know. So we go on and have a lot of fun. The thing I really like about voice acting is, I mean, all of us do voice acting, all of us do on camera and stage and all that as well. But the nice thing about the voice acting is you can basically be any character you can vocally imagine. So you're not relegated to your physical appearance or anything like that. It's just however you sound or can make this character sound. So that's really liberating in many ways.
Yeah, for the most part, I enjoy it. There's maybe been one or two jobs I didn't enjoy that were had a lot of effort to it. I did one job where the director was directing me over the phone from Texas, and it just went on and on and on. I hadn't looked at the whole script to start with, so I was doing a Russian accent, which was okay, but he wanted me to do a really gravelly voice, like this, all the time. And whenever I laid off of that a little bit, he said, no, make it more gravelly, and it started hurting my throat. Because I only chose it to do when he was, the gravelly voice when he was angry, when the character was angry, but he wanted it all the time, and it got very, and it's just page after page of dialogue. Just, he was sending me the dialogue over the internet, and it was just page after page was going along. Yeah, I think he was typing it as it was going on. So I enjoyed when it was over. And plus I didn't bid high enough for the job because I didn't know how long it would take. He got me cheap. So the money was sour. And it took 6 weeks to pay me, so that was pretty cheesy too.
Other than that, he loved it. No, we have to do, especially with some of these new games, are just basically you go in the studio. It's like 4 hours of screaming your butt off because they're, you know, these combat games. You're supposed to be screaming over the tanks and the guns, and the, you know, and you walk away. I did this one job where I was, I can't talk about this game, it's coming out soon, but you'd recognize the title. But anyway, I went in there, I was supposed to be there for 4 hours, 6 hours later I was screaming my butt off, and then the guy says to me, I've saved the best loops for the end, I didn't want you to blow out your pipes, which I'd already done. And he said, I want you to do 10 loops of being burned alive by a flamethrower. I said, you need 10? He said, yeah, 10 loops of this for 30 seconds each, and go.
Oh gosh.
So I gave it every ounce of whatever I had left, and then after that he goes, oh, I found a character for you. And by that time, I sounded like this. I was totally blew my pipes out. It was horrible. And the next day I had to do a Hallmark commercial on the radio, so that was interesting, yeah.
Richard and I are working on a game, and one of my latest sessions on that, I actually was playing, big surprise, right, a little girl on it. Well, she was a little girl warrior, and usually when you get to that part of the session, when you're recording all the impacts and the you know, the battle effects and things like that, you're doing the usual. You're doing the and whatever, all the death groans, the death rattles, the impacts, the screams, the attack sounds. Well, this character, and it's the first time I've ever had this, as a little girl was saying things when she got hit like Mommy and Owie. And it was the most ridiculous, bizarre, out of context, and it was so fun. It was the most fun I've ever had with Impact things. She was like, that hurt, you know, instead of ow, or you know, whatever they would have me do that. Oh, I'm dying. You know, it was so fun. It was very, very different. It was the most fun I've ever had with the Impact sounds. It was very bizarre. I didn't have to scream and kill myself.
More questions?
Another question?
More answers?
In regards to your friends and family, when you started voice acting, what were their thoughts and what are their thoughts now? That's a good one.
You know, it's kind of a bizarre, I've never been asked that before, but my family was, I think they always knew I was going to be an actor, so they were always actually very, very supportive of me, and I was lucky because I know a lot of people who want to go into this business, they get a lot of flack from their family, and mine weren't. They were just very supportive of anything I wanted to do. They were great, so I didn't have a problem with it, and you know, thankfully I've been able to, you know, make a living at this business and support myself, so they've been fine about it, but you know, I have very little family left though. I only have a brother left at this point, so you know, everybody's gone, but yeah, there's my family on stage here. But they were, no, they were great. They were really great and very supportive.
I just have a mother and sister, and my mother passed away recently, but she never wanted me to be an actor until I made a living at it. Then she turned around. She said, oh, how do you do it so well? Just lay a couple of $100 on me. No, she made her own way. But I had to do that. My sister has always been very blasé about my career. Yeah, she's, I don't know if there's a little jealousy going on. She always marveled at the fact that I could be that creative, and she has to work at being creative. But she's very wealthy, so, and I'm not. So she did something right. But by and large, they both supported what I was doing. And my sister supports me. She thinks it's great that I travel all over the country for conventions.
I'd have to say pretty much the same thing. I mean, when I was leaving home to go to college, my dad's emphasis was get a real job, you know? It's like, I know you want to do this acting thing, and I was already acting professionally at that point, but it was kind of like Richard's, you know, experience where everybody kind of knew it was in the cards, but my dad was like, just get a real job, you know, for backup. So the longer I went in my career and the more I worked, the more my family sort of realized, oh, she's serious about this, we're not going to be able to change her mind, and oh, she's getting work, so she must be good. But I was here in LA, my family was up north, so it was always sort of this distant kind of, you know, they're removed from it, they're really clueless. You know, and the more I work, the more that they get involved in it, but they're in their own world. I just would report back when I would get work every now and again. So it's been kind of actually stabilizing for me in a sense, and then having kids has been stabilizing. So I have this life besides my career, and I have a whole, actually, you know, I have a whole world that doesn't really even know what I do. Because I don't talk about it much because it's my kids' life and my family life, and so it's kind of fun every now and again when people find out what I do. They're really, you know, they're very interested and excited, and they go, wow, because it's a fun world, and it's different from the mommy world and the wifing world and the kid world. So it's been kind of fun, especially now that my kids are older and I'm working more again. It's been fun to have those worlds kind of come together, and everybody's always been really, you know, supportive and enthusiastic. It's a fun industry.
Speaking of your kids, though, how old are they now?
17, 15, and 13.
What do they and their friends think? Do they come over and go, hey, can you do this voice? Do they watch your shows?
You know, thank you, that's a really fun question. As my kids were growing up and they knew that I was doing it because they were with me, it didn't really mean anything to them. You know, they didn't, you know, they would see, like, I would do a lot of kids projects. So they would, like Leapfrog and, you know, kids animation and stuff like that. So they could watch that, but there really wasn't any connect until the last couple years when their friends found out that I did Children of the Corn. My kids didn't know. So it kind of opened up this, they watched their friends' reaction and they started to feel proud that, well, my mom, you know, does this, she's in this business, and so the gears didn't really start to click until the last couple years. And they still haven't seen Children of the Corn. I was holding it back as long as possible, but people are arranging showings and I'm not going to be able to hold it off very soon. So, you know, so the bit by bit, they still don't know half of what I've done. I've never pulled out the, you know, VHS and the beta copies and the DVD copies of the things I did way back when on camera, but bit by bit, they're catching on. They're like, oh, we like this. And I'm the cool mom, slowly but surely, at a very convenient time when they're teenagers, when normally I'm not. So it's been fun.
That's cool. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for asking these questions.
I'd just like to add something to that real quick. You know, a lot of people will try to discourage you from doing what you want to do, and I think basically you need to do what you love, and we all love what we do. We're very lucky, because a lot of people don't love what they do when they go to work. And, you know, a lot of people went to college or whatever with the idea they're going to get a job to support themselves, and they hate it. And then I know I had a lot of my friends who were like engineers or people like that who were in the corporate world that got laid off because of the economy. So there are no guarantees in this world or in this life. So you might as well do what you love, because at least if you're doing what you love, you're going to enjoy it, and you know, you're going to have some fun, and you know, and your life will be, I think, more fulfilling than if you're just doing a job to make a living. So that's, you know, how I feel about it.
Yeah. Very good.
Any other questions? Any other answers?
Which do you like better? Your first projects or your more recent projects?
I like the more recent projects because I can bring what I've done in the past up to the present, technique and experience, and well, it's more current because I'm doing it now. Once it's done, it's nice to recollect and look back on it, but it's more exciting to concentrate what's in the now. So what's happening in the present is more exciting.
I feel like I'm really lucky. I keep getting better and better stuff. So I just did a movie that I did on camera that I had a nice part in. That I really enjoyed doing that. I'm in this new series with Nickelodeon. I'm very happy to do original animation, and I'm in a bunch of AAA title games right now. So you know, for me, it just seems like it's getting better and better and better. So I'm really happy about that, and I love a lot of some of the stuff I started out doing. You know, but it's nice to have a progression to it.
I tend to agree with Richard and Robert. When I started, I was learning on the job. It was way back when, it was before feature film actors were doing voiceovers. It was before television actors were doing voiceovers. It was way back in the days when, you know, film actors only did film, you know, and TV actors only did television, and there were commercial actors, and then there were voiceover actors. So it was really a blessing. You know, I was trained on the job.
Everybody knew their place.
Pardon?
Everybody knew their place.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's all the lines are blurred. Yeah, exactly. So it was great. You know, I got trained on the job. That was really fun. But I was, you know, I was a neophyte. I really wasn't confident. I didn't know what I could do. And over the years, I feel like, you know, I feel like I know what I can do more. I have more access to all sorts of different voices. So it makes my job more fun. I feel like I'm more confident, I'm more comfortable, I'm familiar with my body, my voices, the sounds I can make, and I've grown as an actress. So I feel like I can enjoy the work more, and I have more options, and I can be more creative. So I'm having a lot more fun. You know, it was fun then, I'm having even more fun now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
What characteristics
since I know you guys audition for specific characters oftentimes, what motivates you to pick those specific characters? That's a good one.
Yeah, well, we don't necessarily get to pick the characters. We go and audition for different parts that whoever's in charge, the director, casting director, thinks we're appropriate for. So we'll go in and audition for those roles, and if they like us, then we get the part, and that's how a lot of the parts work. There's been only really one time in my career where I can think that I basically was given a part. It turned out to be a really nice part too. That was Ansem in Kingdom Hearts, and the reason I got that part was I was telling Jake last night in an interview that Billy Zane played the character in the first game, and for whatever reason he wasn't available to do it again, and the guy who does Ansem in Japan does the voice of Bato in Ghost in the Shell. So they called up and said, who does the voice of Bato in Ghost in the Shell in America? And they said, Richard Epcar. So they just hired me to do it, which was awesome. You know, it's great. That rarely happens. So I have Bato to thank for that.
I didn't get the first part of your question.
What motivates you to audition for a specific character?
What motivates me to audition?
Paycheck.
They call me, what they call me is when they choose me to audition for. I was, for the Power Rangers, I was given the role of Finster. That's how the show was cast. I'm coming in trouble now. My voice is coming in trouble. Yeah, I can use a glass of water.
Can somebody get a glass of water for Robert? It's right outside the door. Thank you.
I was given the role of Finster. Lord Zed I had to audition for. But as far as, let's say there's a whole bunch of characters and I gotta choose some, I choose the characters that are within my range of my vocal range and with what is within my emotional range, what I want to express. Thank you very much. So, and that doesn't necessarily mean good guy, bad guy, but that just means what drives the character. If something turns me on about what drives the character, I'll choose that role to audition for. And that's what steers me.
There are also two different aspects to that. There's the show and what the show represents, and then the characters within the show. Now, sometimes we'll get, we've got a network of people that we've known for years that we'll work with and for a lot, who are familiar with what we can do. So we'll get, say, we'll go into an audition and they'll have a slew of characters that they're auditioning for. And for me, for instance, say there are 5 women in the show. Now, within those 5 characters, there may be an 8-year-old, 13, 14-year-old, a 20-year-old, and then there might be an elderly woman. So they'll throw the scripts at me and they'll say, whatever you want to try. Because they know me, they don't, they're not just bringing me in for what my voice sounds like to the ear. They're saying, we know you've got range, so pick. So based on, like what Robert was saying, what I know I can do well. Because when you're doing an audition, you want to be excellent. So I'll focus on the characters that I know I can do well. And if they're in my range, I can do them well, then I'll audition for them. But generally, I'll get cast for, well, you will always get cast for the voice that they hear in their head. That, they're like, okay, that's what I hear in my head for the character, then that's what I'm going to go with. But our responsibility when we audition is to make sure we're doing the characters that we can do excellently and we're presenting that with the audition. But then the other side of that, the other dimension is the show. Do I want to be a part of the show? Well, there's actually 3 parts. There's, do I like the characters? Do they inspire me? I'm home and I'm getting auditions. What?
I was going to say, you're the only one that has that consideration.
I know. I'm the only one in the industry. But as a mom with little kids, I was thinking, do I want to be a part of a show that my kids can't ever watch? Do I want to be a part of a show that you know, I don't want kids to watch. Like, do I want to lend my voice to that? I was the only one pretty much in our group that was doing that, and I just that was my you know, those were the parameters in the show that I would be a part of. But then, if you're looking at roles and they give you the choice, like we'll audition from home a lot, I'll pick those characters that I go, okay, I can have fun with this one. I feel like I can do it well, but I like it. It's a fun character. I feel like I can play with it and do something with it creatively that will be unique enough that, you know, I could get the job. So, anyway.
How dare you have integrity. One of the most fun auditions I did was this thing for Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, and I just basically went in, they had all the guys from DC Comics, Superman, Batman, all these kids, you know, all these characters I grew up as a kid. So I was like a kid in a candy shop, and then I got to do all the characters from Mortal Kombat. And they had DC on the line, and they had Warner Brothers on the line, and I read them all. And she just basically said, do whatever ones you want, and I wanted to do them all. So. And, you know, it was great, and they were all very, you know, supportive. Said, that's great, we like them for everything. And as I was leaving, the casting director said to me, she said, if you could pick, who would you want it to be? And I did this thing with the Joker. I'd never done the Joker before. I didn't even know where this voice came out of me, to be honest with you. It just kind of came out of me. And I said, I'd love to do the Joker. He was the most fun character of all those characters. And so a couple days later they called me, I booked the Joker and I booked Raiden for Mortal Kombat. So that was great. That was a lot of fun. That was the most fun audition I've ever been on.
And speaking of video games, what's the difference between voice acting for a video game and voice acting for an animated series?
Yeah, you mean an original animated or an anime?
Just an animated series. Just what's the difference between like the syncing and stuff like that?
Well, if it's a sync show, then it's anime or it's dubbed. You're dubbing it, and basically the difference is you're trying to do the lip sync. There's no difference. You still have to create a character. You still have to make it sound natural and real and all that. And the big difference, to be honest with you, is the pay. The pay is a lot better to do original animation and games than the anime. The anime is the least on the lowest rung of the pay scale.
One of the fun things that happens with original animation, although it's changing a little bit now, is the whole cast would be in there. And it'd be so much fun. It would be like doing, you know, radio theater, and we'd be reading through the script together. That's changing a little bit, which is kind of sad. We miss that. But with the games, you're usually doing a combination of sync and a combination of just, you know, reading through the script without the image on the monitor. So they'll be animating to your voice. But it's a combination of both, and then sometimes it's all sync. So it just depends on where it's coming from and how much of it has been produced already.
If it's original, you just go in and do the character, which is great. You don't have to worry about doing the sync. So it's actually easier to do the original stuff, but it pays better. So the dubbing's harder, but pays less, so you figure that out.
Thank you.
No, I know. I want to stay on topic. Since you're doing the animation and all that, what's the hardest that you have done? Like, when you get into a character that you have done your research, homework, and you're like, oh, I have no idea. I mean, have you had that occasion happen?
Are you saying, like, when we get to a job, what's been the hardest job that we've had to do, or the most challenging?
No, I mean the most challenging character that you have got to get into, and maybe you know about it, maybe you don't. So.
I think, Robert, you kind of referred to that already, right? The Russian guy?
I don't understand what he's asking.
He's asking, go ahead and...
Let me rephrase it. That happens a lot. When you do a character, when you're voicing a character, and you have, I'm pretty sure it has happened during your career, like you have no clue about the character, and they just tell you, here, do the voicing for this. Is it really challenging, and do you have to do, like, kind of like homework?
Okay, I can answer that. The Monster High job that I just got, I didn't understand that I'd been cast for the movie as well as the series. Okay. And I didn't understand that I was cast for 2 roles for the movie and 1 role for the series. And I had no clue what was going on. So I literally showed up to the job, finding out as I was walking into the studio, the pieces were coming together. I had no clue. Am I playing, you know, the one character has this Cockney accent, the other one sounds like Ellen Page. You know, so I walked into the job not knowing what I was doing. Because it just, there was so, the way Mattel works is they independently contract everything. So the one project was being done by a separate group of people.
The two that merge?
They don't really merge.
Okay.
We have a friend who's been trying to get that to happen for about a decade, Scott Page. Has been trying to get them to coordinate, you know, their casting so that the right hand knows what the left is doing. So anyway, it was one of those moments where I was behind the 8 ball pretty much the whole time until he told me, okay, for Venus we're doing blah, 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 and I knew because of the audition process what they wanted, and I started to slowly catch up. But even then, when you get to a job like that, that's your first day on the job, they're finding the voice. So you go through a process which the director at the time, Audu, said, it's really an audition, your first day on a job like that, that's a series. You know, so even then, they're finessing it to see if you can get that voice again, and if you can maintain it. Because when you're doing a series, they don't want you picking a voice that's such a stretch for you that you're not going to be able to be consistent with it throughout the length of the series. Because if you do it for 5-10 years and you're doing something like a gravelly Russian harsh voice, can you maintain it? It's going to be a challenge. So anyway, all that to say that that was the job that was most unnerving for me, trying to figure out who I was and what I was doing.
Okay.
You know, the big difference is when you do a stage play, for example, you have rehearsal time and you work on your character. When you're doing a movie, you get the script, you work on it, you go to the set, you have your character, you've been doing your research, your homework. When we do our stuff, we get cast, we walk in there, we've never seen the script, we've never seen anything. Oftentimes we don't know what the character looks like until we're actually there in the booth. So basically we're cold reading everything. So you have to basically just bring this up to performance level. You got to go in there and just be that character and just do the best job you can on the spot. And that's the way it works when you do voiceover. So there's no preparation time, except the only time it is occasionally when you do original animation, they'll send you the script so you can read it ahead of time. But that's the only time. Other than that, when you do these games, and especially now, everybody's so, you know, legal conscious. They don't want to show you anything until you get in the booth. So you really have to be able to show up and do it as well as if you've rehearsed this thing for weeks, you know. And that's a trick, and that's hard to do, and that comes with experience. So, you know, that's the tough part. You have to come in, deliver the goods, and be as good as if you had worked on this for months.
In the same, like Richard was saying, in the same job, I didn't have pictures of the character for Monster High. I didn't even have pictures. I didn't know what they looked like. It was just a voice reference.
Oh, wow.
And then by the time I went in for the 3rd session, for the 2nd film, it's like the first film was a session, the series was a session, and the 3rd session was for the 2nd film already. They showed me a picture of the dolls, because it's all merchandising, so they're making dolls for the characters. So he showed me pictures of the dolls. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. She's like, it totally changed the way I would approach the voice. You know, so I have the picture, you know, so
which leads me to my next question. Where do you get that inspiration to get into the character?
That's a great question.
Yes.
Since we usually don't see stuff, for actually doing the job, sometimes we have pictures and that helps, but usually it's a reference. The director will give us a vocal reference. So say we want it to sound like so-and-so, or they'll give us an age reference, or they'll give us a story about, you know, this is who she is. Like for me, they don't say that to Richard. This is who she is, and you know, so they'll give us some information that we have to now take and bring the vocal quality that we know we got hired for. We bring that vocal quality, and then it's like a recipe, and then you throw in the details that you've been given. You throw in that information, and that's how the voices really are created. And if you have the visual, that's just one more detail that you get to throw in to help you shape the voice. Sometimes there's dialects. Sometimes there's physicality in the character that we find out about. You know, it depends on, you know, yeah, like an accent like the Russian.
Yeah, everything they said is true. There's nothing I can add really. It's about it. That covers it.
Yeah, you just really need to rely on your director.
Okay.
And hopefully you have a good director, but sometimes you don't, so you just have to rely on yourself.
The director may have heard you do something in the past, a year ago, and say, oh, do that guy, but make him a little lower pitched. So they'll tell me, do your fence too, but make him lower pitched. All right, so you have a jumping off point.
When you're doing the voices and you're working with the cast and the director and everybody, like, do you also get to have fun and like do like improv and kind of thing and put it in there into the series, or they don't let you do much? I mean, they try to stick to the.
It depends on the director.
Okay.
And we don't generally, if we're doing a dubbing job, we don't see the other actors. We just go and do our part. It's like one character at a time. So we don't get to play with the other characters. That's why it's fun to do the original animation, because then hopefully you get to actually act off other people. So.
Budgets are very tight on anime, and time is money in the studio, and usually we don't have time to fool around, unfortunately.
Unless I'm directing.
Unless Richard's
one last question, and I'll be done hugging the mic. Let me think of a good way to phrase it. I'm a little bit nervous. When you do the voices, do you get to meet the original people that do the voices, and the Japanese voices, or the original directors and creators, or not that very often?
Sometimes the producers are there, and they're there to help the project stay true to the original vision.
Okay.
But I've never met a character who's,
the original
with
the Japanese voicing, or the original creator of the series, or
no, I don't think so. No, there'll be, at the very least, there'll be somebody representing the project that will be present. Usually, if it's a series or a big project, usually they'll be there present at the beginning, just to get the voice dialed in, to get it just the way they want, and when they're confident, then they won't even come back to sessions.
Which is good because they slow everything down. But it just depends, like this Avatar thing I'm doing right now. They're there, the creators are there, the writers are there every time we record. But that's an original series.
That's an original animation.
Yeah. So yeah, they're very hands-on with that stuff. So.
Okay.
In the Monster High, they were literally writing. They were doing rewrites, so the writers were present. They were doing rewrites while I was waiting to come in and do my session.
Wow.
So I was handed a sheet. The director came out. He's like, "Okay, we added a few things for your character."
Pencil and say this.
Yes,
Barely
and you can't read that. So I had an extra sheet, I had my script, and then I had this extra, these extra 2 sheets. And the writers were literally, they'd pop in and say, "Hi, I can't talk, I'm writing," and they'd rush back out, until I go in to record, and then they'd have to be there to oversee, is it working? And even then, for Rebecca, she's got this Cockney British accent. They were changing the lines even then to make sure that, to preserve that the dialect and make sure it was authentic throughout. That was as we were going.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'll answer your question. I've got my autograph thing at 12:01 out here, and real quick, I'm sorry, I don't mean to.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
You're welcome. Yep.
Nice.
You're welcome. Nice to meet you. I have that same outfit at home. All right, I want to put a plug in for my thing real quick here. Oh, good, I got to play. I'm very proud of this. I just finished this thing. It's a Doc Savage novel called White Eyes. It's an audio book that I did. I do 40 characters in this book and the narrator. And it's unlike when we go in and do our voices one at a time. I had to jump back and forth and remember, what does this guy sound like? What does that guy sound like? So that was very challenging, but this, I think, came out really, really well. It's a Pulp Fiction book. It's a very cool story. If you're a Doc Savage fan at all, this is one of the better ones. And I will be selling these at my autograph table if you're interested in autographing it for you. So That's my big
Which
plug.
is where you're heading next, actually.
Huh?
You're heading there next.
Oh, I'm heading there next, so
That'll be an artist alley.
that's my plug. I'm in the alley. You put me in the alley on the side of the hotel. I'll be out there next to the garbage truck, so if you need to come see me, I'll be over there pulling lettuce out of the trash bin.
Do we have time for more questions? A couple more questions?
We could do a couple more minutes of questions, sure.
Yes, you. You with the samurai sword.
I have a question for her. You played what character in Wolf's Rain? Because I love that show.
Oh, that's a good question. I actually took notes because it's been a while. Let me just look real quick. I don't know if you've seen me on Wikipedia, but this is why I had to take notes.
Wolf's Rain?
Wolf's Rain was Mew.
You?
Yes.
And you played Bleach.
That's Mr. You to you. Yes, I was in Bleach. I'm Sangetsu and Koga in Bleach.
And my dad loves Star Trek, so which character did you play?
Was what?
Star Trek.
Star Trek. Oh, I played Egrid.
Egrid?
Which is, he was, I forget what planet it was. One of a bunch of prisoners that was being transported to a prison planet. And then they mutiny and they take over the ship.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, I've seen one of you played in Digimon, which was, I used to watch it, but now
I actually directed the first season of Digimon.
You did?
Yeah. And I play Edamon, Myonismon, and Aikmon.
Could you do my
And smoke some Ganjamon. I played him
Could you do Myonismon?
Can I do him? Can I do a voice of a character I did about 20 years ago? Because I was only 5 at the time. I think wasn't he just kind of my regular Myonismon? Didn't he talk like this? That sort of thing. I don't know. Who the hell remembers?
Well, when you voice act, do you like feel the character and have to see what they dress, how they walk, and all that?
Yes, I know we've kind of referred to that a little bit, but it does. If we are watching if we're looping the show, we're dubbing it, then it really does help to see how the character moves, to see how they interact with others, to see their facial expressions. It's fun. It does help a lot with the voice. When we don't, yes, when we can't see the visual, we do have to really feel the character. We have to find something we can identify with that allows us to create the voice.
Yeah, when that's true, what Julie said. I was just looking at this. This is an amazing costume back there. Is that? Wow. I'm going to guess Voltron, is it? Or which one?
Gundam.
Oh, Gundam. Okay. I've been in a bunch of Gundams. I should know that, right? I'm in the new Gundam Unicorn. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
You're dying like a champ.
Thank you. I've been dying since Ben Dixon and Robotech. That's awesome, though. It looks amazing.
And gold in Macross Plus.
Yes, that's right. That's really, really amazing.
Thank you for answering some of my questions.
You're very welcome. You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Yep, we're coming to claim you.
All right, I'm going to go to my autograph panel. Please come by and see me and say hello.
Okay.
And buy my book.